68-cent beers, €1 glasses of wine, romantic picturesque boat rides, incredible coffee, delicious food, and real down-to-earth people. In this video, we will explore why, in my humble opinion, Porto is one of the best cities in Europe right now. There are few cities I've been with this amount of raw authenticity. A city where you can feel the camaraderie. And to begin, what better way to see Porto than by one of the most Portuguese pastimes there is, on a boat. Today, I was invited out by the Yachtsman Douro, hosted by the hospitable Captain Carlos and his son. This is a family-run business, and it became clear quickly that we were in very good hands. Seeing the buildings on both sides of the river, on one side you have Porto, and on the other side you have Vila Nova de Gaia.
Now this is the way to explore Porto.
Along the tour, you get to pretty much experience the entire city region of Porto along the Douro River. You set sail from the beautiful Pestana Hotel, and if the sea permits, you go out into the open ocean. Now, being the crazy, adventurous American that I am, I of course brought my swim trunks. Everybody thought that I was crazy. Little did they know I came from Lake Tahoe in the United States, where it is glacier snowmelt water.
You just need to see what I'm jumping off here.
Whoa! Oh my God! There's a guy in the water.
Even though the Atlantic Ocean in Porto is very cold, around 58.2 degrees Fahrenheit or 14.6 degrees Celsius, which is pretty brisk, there may have been some shrinkage.
Exactly. Oh my God.
And one of the best parts of the tour was when the snacks came out. In Portugal, they're not tapas, they're petiscos. Say it with me, petiscos.
Louco! Solta aí!
I would highly recommend taking a boat tour with the Yachtsman Douro, as the prices are very modest, and if you're interested, there's a link in the bio below to their website where you can book a boat tour today. Trust me, you will thank me. One of my favorite things to do in Porto is to go thrift and antique shopping. You never know what you're gonna find. Today, I am looking for a vintage Superbock beer sign light to put inside my man cave. Actually, it's the one that is right there. In the basement of a little strip mall is a really cool antique shop that has all types of signs, posters, and trinkets from all over. I love this kind of stuff, and Porto is a great city to find stuff like this. And of course, we had to have an afternoon snack. This place has incredible petiscos that change daily, which is written up on the walls. Here we have a famous Portuguese cabbage soup called caldo verde. And look, a clay boat with a chorizo sausage on the top with some high-proof alcohol to cook the sausage. This would be a great dish to take camping. And of course, you have to wash it down with a nice Superbock beer. If you were planning a visit to Portugal, I highly recommend learning some Portuguese from Portugal. Many of the language learning apps only feature Brazilian Portuguese, and even if they are Portuguese from Portugal, the phrases aren't very useful here. Luckily, my friend Anita has one of the best Portuguese online master courses. This is the one that I use myself. She is one of the best teachers that I have found, and she offers courses for tourists that are just going to be visiting and master courses for people who want to become fluent. There's a link in the description below where you can get exclusive access to her course, which is usually only open during special enrollment periods. Learning to speak some Portuguese will wow your friends and go a long way with the Portuguese. Click the link in the description below to get access to Anita's Portuguese Masterclass. Then it was time to go visit the Primavera Sound Festival, which happens every year in early summer here in Porto. I really love the music festivals in Portugal because they feature a lot of the bands that I like and grew up listening to. Then of course, it was time to grab some late night snacks, and there's no better place to go than here.
Let's go.
This place you can get a box of beers, which is equal to around 68 cents or something per beer. They are mini beers, but you're still going to get a full beer for like $1 and some change, so not bad at all. And the petiscos here are crazy cheap. You get these little pizzas and pork sandwiches for €2.50. And this is one of my favorite things here in Portugal, moelas, which is basically the gizzard of the chicken. But don't be freaked out. You need to try it because if you have it at the right place, it is incredible. The next morning, I decided to head out to one of the best coffee shops in town, SO Coffee Roasters. If you're like me and you're a fan of lighter roasted filter drip coffee, then this is the place for you. You can order their coffee online to be delivered anywhere in Portugal and most of Europe, I believe.
So I'm João. I started with specialty coffee in 2015-16 after I moved back from the US to my country, and I was trying to find quality coffee, and I only have a Portuguese coffee, which is commercial coffee with Robusta, so I was looking for a better quality coffee, and then I saw the opportunity because there was none. Started this business. Now I roast coffee. I have a roasting company, coffee roasting company, and it's going really well. This used to be an old betting house. People would come here and buy lotteries, and it was abandoned for a couple of years, and then we found it. It's in the center. We have the tram coming by, and there's a tram stop right there, so it's an historical tram, a little bit like you have in San Francisco. So this is a 5-kilo roaster. We do 5-kilo batches, so small batches. It's part of the specialty coffee parameters. You don't roast very large batches, so we keep a very precise control of the roasting. We get the green beans like this. Most people don't know. This is how we select coffee. We get the green beans like this. Then we roast samples, 50 grams, and then we cup them. So there's two ways to choose how we choose coffee. So we know personally a few farmers in Costa Rica, in Ecuador, and other locations. We know the farmers, and we reach out to them, or they reach out to us and send us samples. So with those samples, as you've seen before, we roast them. They've seen as green coffee samples. We roast them and then we cup them. And if we like the coffee and if we find the price reasonable, we buy that coffee. Sometimes we buy the whole production for that farm, for that year. Another way is to work with importers who themselves have personal contact with the farms, and they send us a lot of samples from many different farms. We do the same thing. We roast the green samples, we cup them, and then we buy through the importers, through the green bean importers. So there's two ways. Of course, we always privilege direct trade, direct connection with the farmers, and we're moving in that direction. But sometimes it's hard because we're talking about many origins, many countries, and it's hard to visit all of them and still have a production in Portugal.
So my name is Rui Pedrosa. I'm from here, from Porto. And yeah, I've been working with coffee for the last 7 years. I was lucky to be challenged to compete back in 2022, and I was even more lucky to win. And I got to represent Portugal at Melbourne, in Australia, for the World Championship. And yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's very different from the daily routine of a coffee shop, of the barista. In the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years, the Portuguese community and the Portuguese coffee lovers, let's call them that, they've been more and more willing to taste different things. And yeah, just to have new experience overall. And once you can find like places like us and the other coffee shops around the country that offer a new product, in the beginning it's very different, and people usually don't react very well to a new thing. But eventually, and it started, like you said, with the younger generation, and then now we see more and more of this older generation. So people on their 50s, 60s, they are looking for coffee lovers. They have always drank coffee, this Italian style, I would say. But now they are willing to taste this more acidic, a little bit more sour coffee, and once they can find, I think that's the trick, once they can find the flavors, once you can give them something that they can easily identify as like a chocolatey or like lemon, that's what really got people drawn and like gets them excited, and they want to taste more. I think that's the key. Once you can give something to whoever it is and you say, oh, that should taste like lemon, and they were like, oh yeah, it does taste like lemon, it's amazing.
Porto has some absolutely amazing rooftop vantage points. On a beautiful sunny day like this, the rooftop flourish is one of my favorite locations to have an Aperol Spritz or a gin and just enjoy life. And maybe, if you're lucky, you're there with a loved one, or maybe you can find someone special to enjoy the sunset with, which, in my opinion, Porto offers one of the most romantic and beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in my life. Then I ran into some familiar faces, Josh and Kaylee from the YouTube channel Expats Everywhere. They were nice enough to invite me to my very first football game in Portugal to see FC Porto at the famous Dragão Stadium. One thing that really surprised me was that they don't serve beer or alcohol in the stadiums here. Portuguese take their sports very seriously, and when you combine alcohol with this, people get rowdy. A little too rowdy. We were joined by João from SO Coffee Roasters and an awesome videographer from South Africa named Francis. A link to his amazing work will be in the bio below. Porto ended up winning the game, which was awesome, and Pep, the veteran OG, ended up scoring a goal at the very end.
Thank you guys so much for inviting me down.
Yeah, man.
It's incredible.
Come. It's awesome. Awesome. David Porto.
Then it was time to go meet up with my friend Miguel, a fellow videographer who invited me to try one of Porto's best francesinhas. A sandwich inspired by the French croque monsieur, but stuffed with Portuguese steak, linguiça sausage, tons of melted cheese, and smothered in a rich sauce with beer, tomato, and many other secret ingredients that I'm told if I found out, they'd have to kill me. This sandwich is certainly not for vegans or someone on a diet.
One of the secrets, the taste of this particular francesinha, not only it goes to the oven during the process with the burning woods. I think that the woods, it's a specific wood, it's not normal wood, it's a wood that when it burns it gives some flavor. It has a different smell and a different taste just because of that clay that is in the plate and in the oven. It's a part, I think, of the secret that the success of this francesinha.
Ronaldo approved.
The cheese is incredible. Cheese. It just like takes, you can tell that it's been baked in there for a while.
Yeah.
I am going to do an episode all about the francesinha in Porto very soon, and which one is my favorite. Stay tuned. And a delicious ice cold beer served in a metal mug that's been put in the freezer so the beer is ice cold.
The meal time, it's a really big deal for us Portuguese, and typically right here in Porto. It's more than a tradition, it's a cultural thing. It's really important to eat all together and to share the day, to share some thoughts, talk about the news, talk about maybe just the weather, anything, but it's an emotional moment, it's a fraternity moment.
During the coronavirus pandemic, Portugal was one of the few success stories in Europe on controlling the spread of the virus. And the country had very low caseload, especially when compared with neighboring countries, Italy and Spain.
I'm a specialized rehabilitation nurse since 2016 in here, and we are at the door of the adult emergency entrance right now. During COVID, this hospital was pretty transformed into a giant intensive care unit by receiving all of the worst, most severe case from the center of the country, from the center of Portugal up north. All of the most severe and critical cases went here. I think that a big part of the success of our country response to the pandemic was in part the resilience and the good capabilities and the knowledge of the people that work in the healthcare services, but also the planning and the managing. Besides that, we have pretty good scientists and pretty good doctors that are capable of finding the most recent and most accurate evidence-based knowledge, and they will apply it. That's what they did at COVID. They studied what other countries were doing to fight COVID, and they used the best they can get out of every country. Not try and error, but evidence-based practice. I think that COVID had a great impact on the mental illness, mental health of me and my colleagues. I see with my peers I see burnout, I see PTSD starting to appear, I see people more lonely than before, people stressed out, people overreacting to situations that before they wouldn't even make a scene out of it, and now they can't control themselves in some situations. Yes, and I think that lots of that people feel that they cannot show any sign of weakness. They cannot show any sign of dealing with a mental problem because they are afraid of what the other people will think of them and will say of them. We can try to hide it, we can try to not talk about it, we can try to say to people, it's good to seek help, you can go to a therapist, see a therapist, but in our society I think that the stigma is still in here, and that is the main reason that I think that people that need help are not finding help and not seeking for help right now, because they are ashamed of what that means to the others. The mental health, I think in Portugal, the mental health system, it's a very poor and distant part of the health system. We have a health system for physical problems, but a different, very worst and very poor system for mental problems. Nurses, doctors, whatever, are not comfortable going to the doctors at the psychiatry, doctors at the hospital, and talking about their own problems, because they are afraid of something that might happen. They will get transferred, the people will start looking differently, people will not trust your work. That stigma unfortunately exists here.
In the last couple of years there has been a huge interest in Portugal as a whole, for people to either to move in, start their own business, or it's a very nice place, very nice weather, very nice people in general, to just start a family and start do some investment. We've been seeing this, at least in my opinion, I see this in a very positive way, because it's bringing not only investment to the country, and a country that needs investment, but also opportunities for it to grow. The main problem, like all problems with countries and cities that kind of grow in a very quick way, is that we need to find the balance and a way to give back to the Portuguese. So not lose the culture, not bring people to, shove people away from the country. And I think that a lot of the Portuguese as well, that Portuguese that go to Europe or to other countries to find a better lifestyle, I think most of them want to come back to Portugal when Portugal is able and ready to give them back. So yeah, we are living a very delicate time, and government usually we had unfortunately we've not been very lucky with the government, because they've been not able to find a balance with all of this growth. But yeah, I would really like to see Portugal to be a country on the southern end of Europe with a very good health system, and have like a continuous good health system, education, transport, all of that, all those basic needs. Yeah.
You are a foreigner that are here in my country, seeing my country, talking about my country, knowing the history of my country, trying to show my country to the world. And I thought to myself, damn, that it's a foreigner doing that for my country. I saw your videos and I said to myself, I have to appreciate this guy, what he's doing, because he has to know there are Portuguese people that value what he's doing and value and really feel happy about seeing the type of work you are doing. So that's why I reached out to you.
Thank you, man.
In the void.
I appreciate that, brother.
Oh man,
I appreciate
no
that.
problem, no problem.
As you can see, Porto has some incredible places and some amazing people. Get out there, go travel the world, and if you're lucky, you might just end up in Porto. If you want to see more videos about living in Portugal or the rest of Europe, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. I'll be posting videos like this every single week on this channel, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Time to go eat some petiscos and drink some Superboc.